Been a rough week for all of us, myself included, but I've got a bowl of comfort right here, and I'm going to show you how to make it. They call it burgoo, and we've got Bristol to talk about, baby. Let's get into it. Well, hi, folks. Welcome back to Racin-n-Braisin. I am CJ, a lifelong NASCAR fan and chef. Tonight, we are going to put together a hearty stew called burgoo, which is an Appalachia staple. And we'll talk about the Bristol race, give an update to what the playoffs have now become after the first elimination. We'll put a thumb on this race and a quick SVG minute while all of this comes together and we sit down and have a nice, comforting meal. So let's dive on into it. So we're going to start today's episode off a little bit different. Like I said, I'm trying a different kind of style here for these videos. We're going to make burgoo while we talk about what happened in Bristol this weekend. So let's get started on our burgoo. Real quick, just to refresh your memory, what burgoo is. It is a Appalachia stew. Thick, hearty, comes from early settlers in West Virginia, southeastern Kentucky. It's originally of French cuisine and originally featured pheasant and was more like a porridge in its original form in France. However, when it came over to the States, the concept of it is what followed, but they used different ingredients. Mostly game meats went in as the proteins, whether it was squirrel or quail, and then whatever vegetables that they had handy, corn, potato, lima bean. The proteins get cooked first, and then you get the base going by deglazing the pot, which is what we're going to do here in a moment. So instead of game meats, I'm just going to take the basic concept of use what you got or use what's cheap. And I'm going to use pork and chicken as my protein. I've got some potatoes as well as some tomatoes and a bunch of vegetables. Don't tell anybody, but I cheated just a little bit. Use it when you can. It was actually much cheaper to do it this way. I found a gumbo vegetable medley, and that seemed perfect for what we're using for this application here. I've got my pork diced up. I've got some chicken thigh also diced up here. I'm going to brown those guys first. You can hear the pot getting warmed up as we speak. A little bit of oil in the pot there. I'm going to do it in batches so that I don't crowd the pot. Allow all of the meat to evenly brown. I'm going to remove the browned meat and set that aside, and then deglaze the bottom of the pan with a chicken broth, diced onion, and some garlic towards the end of that deglaze so we can add in that aromatic. We're then going to add the rest of our liquids into it, our tomatoes with the juice, the rest of the chicken broth, and a couple more of the aromatic liquid. Traditionally, this has a little bit of a kick to it, so I am going to add some items that have that kick to it in the seasoning department. Cayenne pepper, maybe a little bit of red pepper flake to put in there as well. So that'll give me that warmth that we want. We're going to get our meat browned and start with that. And while the meat's browning, let's talk about Bristol. Now, as you guys know from my Thursday video, I did not actually get a chance to watch the race live. However, I was able to grab highlights from the race and right through the timeline. And it sounded like a very eventful race. As we know, there was a new tire that was brought to the track this weekend, and everybody was concerned about how that would play out. On Friday during practice, cars were able to easily go 70 laps without an issue, so nobody expects there to be a tire issue. However, a couple degrees cooler on Saturday night for the race, and yes, big old tire issue showed its head. That was the key storyline of the entire race. Looked like they were only able to get about 30 to 40 laps on a set of right-side tires before it was completely shred and disintegrate. We had 14 cautions, and I believe I saw 137 laps of caution, which is the most ever the NASCAR Cup Series has had. Now, Christopher Bell did win the race. He grabbed the lead on a late restart. He actually ended up only needing 12 laps total out of the 500 laps to get the win. However, that was not the key story and who led the majority of the race. It was actually Ty Gibbs, his teammate, that led over 200 laps on Saturday night. However, a mess up by Ty Gibbs trying to enter pit road under green flag conditions, he completely screwed it up from what the highlights showed. And that's what cost him the race. The tires were a big factor all night long. The cooler temperatures increased the amount of wear on the right side tires. We saw several guys blow tires, shred them completely. Kyle Larson had a couple issues through the night. He had a couple of bumper car incidences from what I saw in the highlights. He actually got caught behind Josh Berry, who had a major tire issue. Denny Hamlin, also a pre-race favorite and Vegas favorite. He was involved in an incident where he actually lost his right front tire. So the pre-race Vegas favorites did not have good nights. 31st for Denny Hamlin, 32nd for Kyle Larson. All right, first a little bit out and just a little bit more oil back in the bottom there so we don't have too much sticking to the bottom. We want a little bit of bits, but not all of it. Throw in some of the chicken as well into that and let that go. The other major storyline that this race produced as a result of the tire fall off is that there was a lot of rubber buildup on the track, especially in the outside lanes. So the outside groove was a non-factor for a Bristol race. For the first time in a long time, they actually looked like a traditional Bristol race. Passing was around the bottom, and there was actually deep embankment throughout. Now, the rubber buildup was a major factor with this next-gen car. We've seen this in the past, and this actually showed its head on 5 occasions throughout the Bristol race where there was a fire related to tire and rubber buildup inside the car. In fact, actually affecting Josh Berry early on in the night, causing a big enough fire. He actually had to jump out. All right, so we've got some browning on our chicken and the remainder of the pork here. I'm going to remove these guys, set them over to the side here. Try to keep as much of the liquid in the pan as I can. All of that fat is delicious. And we want to use that with our onion, which is the next step. All right, we're going to put this back on, and I am going to add my onions next. A pinch of salt and just about a half a cup of this chicken stock so that I can deglaze the bottom of this pan. So heat's turned up on it, and I'm just going to use my wooden spoon here to help the liquid pull up whatever is on the bottom as I rotate around the bottom of the pan here. Been able to extract a lot off the bottom of the pan here. I know that's not the best shot in the world for you guys, but that's the one I'm giving you. And now I'm going to let the onions sweat out a little bit. I don't want to burn them. There's a little bit of liquid in the bottom of the pan here. So I'm going to allow the liquid to get warm enough to where it's just starting to bubble, and then I'm going to turn the heat down and allow the onion to sweat out for a good 5, 6, 7 minutes-ish. What I'm looking for is for the onions to get a little bit translucent. And once they get to that point, then I will add my garlic into it. Let that go for about a minute. Let the garlic open up, get effervescent. And then we're going to finish the rest of the stock for the base of the dish. All right, it's been about 5 minutes now since the onions got going on a really low boil here. And they're starting to get translucent. I'm going to add some garlic next. This is 6 cloves of garlic, and I decided to slice them this time instead of mincing them like you would normally do. The reason I did that is because personally I love big chunks of garlic, and this is a good way to get big chunks of it. But also, it allows more surface area to express out of the garlic itself as it's cooking. So we're going to dump this in for a minute. Make sure we get all of that good garlic, right? Give it a quick stir. Let this open up for about a minute. Okay. It's been about a minute now. The garlic is definitely opening up. It smells amazing. I don't know about you, but best smell in the world is onion and garlic together that's opened up, especially with a nice amount of fat that's allowed it to really get happy. Probably the last smell that I want to have on my time on Earth is that opened up garlic and onion, right? All right, so now that it's had an opportunity to open up, let's finish the base of this stew. We're going to put our meat back in here, juices and all that have come out of it. Let's try and get absolutely all of it. All of the beautiful glistening fat that's coming from all of that. And then I'm going to put in my seasoning mix, of course, recipe down below for you guys. We're going to throw that in here. And now we're going to stir it all together. All of it tossed around here. And you can smell as soon as the heat is touching all of the seasoning that I've thrown in here, which is including a Saison mix, which is onion, garlic, and a couple of other herbs in there. I've also included paprika, which is a staple in this dish, a touch of cayenne pepper, a little bit of crushed red pepper flake, and then to bring in some smokiness, which is a feature of burgoo. Specifically, I've added just a touch of chili powder to bring it in that smokiness. And now that it's had an opportunity to open up for about a minute, I am now going to add the rest of my chicken broth. 4 cups there in total. And now I'm going to add a can of tomatoes. Don't yell at me, but that's what I'm doing. And then we're going to do a generous portion of Worcestershire sauce. The recipe calls for about 2 tablespoons. And that's really just about 2 to 3 seconds worth of a good vigorous shake off of that. And just to highlight the smokiness, I do have a dash of liquid smoke that I'm going to add to it. Just one good dash. Boom. Okay, everything's in there. Let's bring it to a boil. And then we're going to reduce. That's the proteins and the broth for this soup. We still need to add our vegetables, and we're going to do that in phases. We're going to let this broth get happy first with the proteins for about an hour. We're going to get it to a boil, reduce to a low simmer, and I'm going to cover it to allow the proteins to break down. Then we're going to add our potato to it. In the final hour of cooking this, we're going to add the rest of our vegetables to it, and that's what's going to round out our soup. It's going to cook down. Liquid is going to evaporate. Liquid's going to absorb into everything in there, and it's going to end up being a hearty stew. Stick around, you'll see. The base of our burgoo has been going for an hour now, and it's now time to add the first of our vegetables. We're going to add some potato. We're going to let this go for about a half an hour with it covered to get the potato to start to cook while still retaining all the liquid that we had in the stew. We don't want to evaporate that out just yet. So we're going to give this a half an hour to cook and continue to simmer on low to get the potatoes started. And then we're going to remove the lid, go another half an hour before we add the rest of our vegetables, and go yet another hour to allow all the flavors to develop together, cook together, get happy, and turn into a nice hearty stew. While we wait on this to get happy, let's talk about the playoff drama that just unfolded from Bristol. As we see, SVG, Austin Dillon, Alex Bowman, and Josh Berry got eliminated after the first round. Those who survived that are below the new cut line now for the round of 12, Austin Cindric, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, and Tyler Reddick. All the way to the top, though, Denny Hamlin at only plus 26, as we can see from here. I swear this is probably the tightest playoffs that I have seen as far as point differential goes. We can see going into this next round that features New Hampshire, Kansas, and the Roval that it's real tight there below the cut line. Only 3 points separate those 4 drivers. And we've seen already in the first round, anything can happen to anybody, and those points can disappear. SVG, who went from a plus 16 at the beginning of the playoffs, fell to a minus 16 at his elimination after Bristol. That is actually the largest point loss and differential that any driver has experienced. Josh Berry also had a very unfortunate first round, finished basically last in every race. He had 2 accidents that led to DNFs and then a mechanical failure at Bristol that caused him to have yet another DNF. So obviously Joe Gibbs Racing is really strong right now, And they're going to New Hampshire, which is heavily favored for Joe Gibbs Racing teams and for the Toyotas in general. I think 2311 is also a really strong playoff team right now. Bubba Wallace performing very well, and Tyler Reddick showing a ton of speed, which is a surprise to me personally. I actually had him out in the first round. Also showing great speed, and I think will be a Final Four contender for sure. I don't think there's any doubt unless things go terribly wrong, and I do not wish this at all. But my boy Ryan Blaney is looking really, really strong right now. However, I am questioning the speed out of Hendrick Motorsports. They've got good points generally. Byron and Larson are at plus 24 right now. Elliott, however, is only at plus 5 to start this next round in 7th place. I'm worried about the speed out of Hendrick Motorsports. I'm concerned that 2 out of the 3 of them may not make it out of this next round. So that's where we stand on the playoffs. We're going to let this continue on for another 23 minutes here before we take the lid off and allow the liquid to start to evaporate as it continues to slowly simmer and get happy. Next step, we're going to add the veggies in an hour. I'll talk with you then. All right, peppers have been in for an hour. We've had the lid off for 30 minutes. It's time for us to taste. It's rich and a nice amount of heat, and I think the salt is right on point. I'm giving the flavor so far a thumbs up, which leads us to wonder, what does Bristol get? Well, normally this is where I would give the race a thumbs up, but as I've done in the past when I haven't been able to watch the race live or catch a full replay of it, which I wasn't able to this week, I can't give you an honest opinion on it. But from what I saw from the highlights and from all of the recap videos here on YouTube, as well as the teardown, it sounded like it was a really good race. It sounded like the tire wear made for just a crazy wild race. All sorts of stuff happened and kept everybody happy, as well as brought back old school Bristol vibes. So that was great to see. But I'm not going to put a thumb on this one this time. I want to know what you guys thought of it. So in the comments below, go ahead and leave an emoji of a thumbs up or thumbs down and let me know what your favorite part of the race was. I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Well, we tasted the Burgoo and it is delicious. It's time now to add the last of the veggies and the final hour of the cook to allow everything to get together, get happy, and ready to serve and enjoy. So let's go ahead and add the veggies. While we bring that back to a boil and then to a low simmer once again, now that we've put in the vegetables, let's take a quick SVG minute. Well, unfortunately, heartbreak for SVG this week. He had a pretty rough finish, finished 26th on the day, and that put him at minus 16 to the cut line for the cutoff. And yeah, that's the end of SVG's playoff hopes this season. Rough one, rough 3 races. We knew the odds were going to be against him. Darlington, one of the toughest tracks. Yes, he said it's one of his favorites, but still a difficult track. And there were a couple moments in that race that really cost him big, especially a late speeding penalty on pit road. Gateway, not much better, involved in a spin. And yeah, again, had issues with pit road. And then, of course, Bristol, one of the hardest tracks to go to and master, and only his second time there in a cup car with a very wild, unexpected race to throw on top of that. So, tough round for SVG, hard to see, but let's not forget that he has had one heck of a season. 4 wins on the year, and he is still a potential favorite for the Roval coming up in just 3 races. He could possibly have 5 wins in his rookie year. So despite a rough playoff round and early elimination from the playoffs, gotta say kudos, mate. Good job, SVG. All right. Oh, here we go. A big old bowl of comfort with some bread to dip in and get some of that goodness going on here. I've already tried the base to it, and it is absolutely delicious. Let's try a nice bite with a little bit of the protein and some of the lima beans, maybe even a dip of the potato. That looks like the bite right there. That sticks to the bones right there. That is comfort in a bowl for a beautiful fall evening here in the mountains. No wonder this is an Appalachia staple. Burgoo. Check out the recipe down below. I hope you all enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoyed the new format of the show today. Took you through a recipe and we talked about a crazy weekend in Bristol. And now we're shaping up for the round of 12 with the playoffs moving forward. Let me know what you guys thought of the race and give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down in that comment down below. If you like what I've done here, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss any future episodes where I feature food from each NASCAR weekend and bring it from my kitchen to yours. Hope you all have had a good one. Stay happy.